Hello, and welcome to The Explainer. So in October 2025, something truly massive happened in Japan. The country shattered one of its oldest, highest glass ceilings. But when Sanae Takaichi became the nation's first ever female prime minister, it wasn't just a celebration, it was the start of an absolutely high-stakes political gamble. So what does this gamble actually look like? Well, let's break it down.
And this really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It hangs over everything in Tokyo. I mean, her victory was a landmark moment, for sure, but it also instantly ripped open these deep cracks in the political landscape. She's literally making history while fighting for her political survival right from day one.
So who is Sanae Takaichi? Well, she's known as a conservative hardliner and really the direct ideological heir to former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Her rise to the top is just a monumental event, especially in a country that, let's be honest, has really struggled with gender equality in politics.
Okay, so her first major test, right out of the gate, is the economy. And she's pushing this incredibly bold and, pretty controversial strategy. It's already been nicknamed Sanaenomics, and it is a massive, high-risk, high-reward bet on Japan's entire future.
So what exactly is Sanaenomics? Think of it like this. It's got two main parts. First, you pump huge, and I mean huge amounts of government cash into the economy. And second, you keep interest rates nailed to the floor. We're talking rock bottom, to get people and businesses borrowing and spending. The goal is pretty simple. Jolt Japan's economy, which has been sluggish for decades, back to life.
And you can see the market's reaction right here. It's kind of got a split personality. On one hand, investors absolutely love the idea of all that stimulus, and they sent the Nikkei stock index soaring, up 4.7%. But on the other hand, currency traders got really nervous, selling off the yen, which dropped 1.7%. It just perfectly captures the hope versus the fear that her plan sparked from the get-go.
And here's exactly why those traders are so nervous. This number, just look at it. It's staggering. Japan's government debt is already more than 260% of its entire economic output. That's the highest among all developed nations, by a long shot. So Takaichi's plan to spend even more money? Yeah, that's a huge risk. So you have this fundamental conflict, this huge tug of war. On one side, her supporters are hoping this aggressive spending will finally break Japan's long cycle of deflation and actually spark some real, sustained growth. But on the other side, critics are terrified it's just going to cause the national debt to explode, crash the currency, and maybe, just maybe, unleash runaway inflation. And here's the real kicker. This quote from a Reuters column just nails the irony of it all. Takaichi actually models herself on Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady, who is famous for being fiscally conservative. And yet her signature economic policy is the exact opposite, a massive expansion of government spending. It's a paradox that really defines her whole approach.
Now, Takaichi's impact isn't just being felt at home. Her unapologetically nationalist stance is also starting to reshape Japan's relationships all over the globe, creating some stronger friendships and some brand new tensions.
Okay, so let's just quickly break down her foreign policy. She's all in on the alliance with the United States, doubling down, really. At the same time, she's taking a much, much tougher line on China. Her views on history are creating a lot of friction with South Korea. And she is a very vocal, very enthusiastic supporter of Taiwan. And that pro-American stance? Well, it did not go unnoticed. Pretty soon after she won, then President Donald Trump posted this on his social media site, which signaled, a pretty warm and friendly start to their relationship. So she's making these huge moves, right? Shaking up the economy, shaking up foreign policy. But does any of that actually matter if she can't hold on to power back home? Which brings us to the biggest question of all. Is her premiership built on solid rock or on shifting sand? The reality is, Takaichi is governing on a political knife's edge. That historic win hides a political foundation that is just incredibly fragile. From the second she took office, she's been trying to navigate this incredibly treacherous path just to stay in the job. And this right here shows you exactly what I'm talking about. Just look at that margin. She won the leadership of her party and the premiership by just 4 votes. 4! That's not a mandate, that's a tightrope. And her problems, they run deep. They're structural. First off, she doesn't have her own faction, her own loyal base of lawmakers inside the party, which is really unusual for a Japanese prime minister. Second, she pretty much owes her job to powerful party elders like Taro Aso, which means she's dependent on them.
And third, her ruling coalition doesn't even have a majority in parliament.
And if all that wasn't enough, the LDP's coalition partner for the last 26 years, the Komeito Party, is basically threatening to walk out. They are just not comfortable with her hardline conservative stances, and that puts the entire government at risk of collapsing.
One political journalist really summed up her whole situation perfectly. They described her path forward not as a challenge, but as a minefield. Basically, every single step she takes could set off a political explosion that could end her career.
So all of this, it all leads back to that one ultimate concern. Is Sanae Takaichi just destined to be a short-lived leader? Has the countdown clock on her historic premiership already started ticking?
As the South China Morning Post pointed out, there's this very real fear that Japan could go back to its revolving door era. That was a time when prime ministers were being replaced pretty much every single year. It's a ghost from Japan's political past that nobody really wants to see again.
And what's maybe most telling is that some of this skepticism is coming from inside her own party. There are reports that some powerful figures see her as just a temporary fix, a one-point relief pitcher, to use a baseball term. Someone you bring in for a tough inning before you bring in your star player, like her rival Shinjiro Koizumi, to win the game.
But what does Takaichi herself say about all this? Well, she is defiant. She's not backing down. Faced with all these predictions, she declared, "I am prepared to fight the prejudice that a woman's tenure will be short-lived. I will simply produce results." She's betting that if she can deliver, she can overcome all that political weakness.
And that defiant attitude is all wrapped up in her personal slogan. It's a bold, confident message to the rest of the world. Under her, Japan is back.
So in the end, we're left with this massive question. Will Japan's first female prime minister manage to navigate that political minefield, defy all the odds, and really redefine her country? Or will her historic rise be followed by a brutally quick fall, making her just another portrait in that long, long gallery of Japan's short-lived leaders?